maybe 2 more. You can also rub a little bit with this microfiber towel. Might be helpful once you're at the end. All right, I'm going to shift my towel so we can get a fresh piece here. All right, take our Q-tips, same thing again. You can even hear the squeaking with the towel there, so this is pretty much clean. Okay, lift it up in the light, and perfect. So almost all of it's gone. I have just a little bit of glue here on the top, right by the cut line, which is the place that really likes to hold on to the glue the longest, just because that tape prevents you from removing some of the glue as quickly as the rest of the display. So kind of take your Q-tip, wipe in one direction maybe, kind of get the glue to accumulate on one side, and then wipe off in one direction also. Okay, take a look. Almost there. If a little bit of this Goo Gone bleeds underneath your tape and into the top display, not a big deal because we're going to wipe it down anyways. Okay. Wipe off. And last one here. There we go. Nice and squeaky everywhere. That's a good sign. Okay, and clean this off. Looks good. Perfect. So let's hold this up, rotate it in the light, and you can see that we really don't have glue residue. We have a little bit of dust from the microfiber towel, but we can always clean that off later. So that looks great. So now I'm going to remove the tape from the top here. Okay, I did have a little bit of Goo Gone that got there, so find a nice dry piece of towel, kind of wipe that off as well. Just kind of dab it. Be gentle here. Okay, get this nice and clean. Maybe I'll go to the opposite side of my towel now, which has not been used. Kind of clean off my display here. Looks good. Okay, get the borders on the glass as well, the edges, because sometimes some of the Goo Gone can get in there as well. Great. And that looks pretty good. So that's how it looks. So you'll notice here that we have the polarized film, or film on top of the main display from the factory, and then there's the cut line, and then the bottom is minus this top layer. Okay, that's why it looks a little bit lower than the top. We've cut that off, and then what we're going to do is grab a brand new polarized film and put it on here. Okay, so we will set this guy to the side. Take our towel. That's the last we're going to be using the Goo Gone for this entire project, so you can dispose of that. And then I'm going to pause here. Go ahead and wash your hands really well. Okay, so now we get to the fun part. We've got our display that's been removed of the polarized filter from the bottom. We're going to take brand new polarized film. Again, something I forgot to mention at the beginning. This is called 0 degree. So you can see here at the top, 0 degree linear polarizing film. It's transparent, obviously, and the orientation does matter how you cut this. So you will put your display here on the bottom, and I want you to focus on just the bottom part that we exposed, that we removed the glass from. Put it down, take your polarized film, and put it over it, okay? And then look at it, the bottom part of the display, and rotate, Okay, now you'll notice in this orientation, the bottom that we cut on the display appears normal, almost like from the factory. If I rotate it 90 degrees, it turns black, right? So if I want to make a negative display, I want to cut this in the orientation that the display looks completely black, okay? So this is the right orientation to trace and cut. If I was to do it this way, trace and cut, I would return it to exactly how it looked like from the factory, okay? Now, this helps going left to right. What about back and front? So if I put it this way and we get black, what happens if I invert it over? So you'll notice that we have almost like a very shiny, almost rainbowy effect. You'll notice that the color isn't exactly one shade. It almost looks like you'll get this like really cool looking blue effect, blue/green. Or if you keep rotating, it'll be more green, like that. So if you have these really rainbowy, greenish, bluish colors, that tells you you're on the wrong side for this particular mod. Some people really like this effect. In fact, I think I'm going to do one at some point because it's kind of a weird highlighter effect, which looks kind of cool. But for our purposes, we want black. And I'm not getting any black on this side. If I turn it over, boom, black. Okay, so put the display underneath. Take your polarizing film, you're going to put it on top, find it to be completely black. Take your Sharpie, let's zoom in here, and you're going to move this to the left a little bit. There we go. You're going to now trace what you're going to cut out. So I'm going to take my Sharpie, trace just along the bottom part that I removed that factory polarized film from, and do it like that. Now, one important thing here is your outline on the polarized film needs to be just a tad smaller than the actual part that you're covering. The reason is if you make it the exact same size and then stick this new polarized film on there, when you reassemble this display onto this plastic housing, the plastic housing tends to get between the glass and the adhesive of this film, and it starts to lift up on the adhesive, and over time you'll start to see air bubbles develop underneath your polarized display. So by making it just a tad smaller, there's no chance of that lifting up, and your masking anyways, which is over here, okay, is going to cover the fact that it's a little bit shorter. The borders here are going to cover that. So make it just a little bit shorter on the right, left, top, and bottom than the actual part that you're covering. Just a hair smaller, maybe like 1 millimeter. Okay, we'll get our, actually I also like to mark which part is facing towards me. So I write the word me here, which tells me that this is in the right orientation. I flip it over and I make sure that I put an X here, so that way I know that is the part that is going to be sticking down. Now this polarized film is also composed of 3 layers, even though it looks like 1. So 3 layers. You have your polarized film, you have a protective backing on one side, another protective backing on the other side. One of these protective backings actually covers the adhesive side. So for me, the part that says me is going to be this part. The part that has an X is going to be this part, and right between X and the filter is that adhesive part. And I know that just because I've peeled up on the edge of my film and I was able to identify which side is sticky. So you might have to do the same. If you're not using adhesive polarized film and you're just using standard polarized film, no problem, you don't have that issue. Okay, we'll take our scissors and start cutting here. Okay. There we go. Set that film to the side. This is exactly why I label it, because it'll fall down and you might forget which part faces me again, left, right, up or down. So now I know this is marked and the me faces towards me. Okay, so we will take our polarized film here, or take our display on the left. Go ahead and give that a good wipe down with your clean cloth, not the towel. So this thing has no Goo Gone on it. And kind of wipe down that really quickly. Okay, take your air blaster if you have one, or compressed air, so something like this, and go ahead and just kind of shoot some air in one direction to kind of remove any dust that might be underneath there. Okay, take your polarized film, make sure it's oriented correctly. Go ahead and peel the back side that covers the adhesive side. So for me, that's the side with X. So you'll see X is being removed right now. Okay, and then I will go to my display and I will start moving it all the way till it hits that cut line and stops. Right about there. Go ahead and push down. All right, and then just kind of gently but firmly apply some pressure. Okay, at this point we've removed one piece of the protective backing. So here again, we've removed one layer. So now we have these two layers left. I like to keep the top layer on as I'm pushing, so that way I don't put scratches on the actual polarized film. And one way you can also minimize scratches is take another Q-tip again, clean obviously, and just kind of work from the inside out to push out those air bubbles. And you'll notice here there is a small line. You see that? A small white border. That's because, again, I've cut my polarized film just a tad shorter for the reasons that we mentioned before. Okay. All right, that looks pretty good. So now what we'll do is remove this top layer here. Zoom in for you. Okay, use my tweezers here, gently lift up. There we go, and you can see that I'm removing that layer, the part that has me written on it, and now we have just our one layer left. Okay, you can throw this guy away. Take your Q-tip, take the other end that has not been used. Okay, make sure there's no Sharpie marks from the labeling that you put it on. Okay, and we will take a look at our filter, and we want to check for the polarized film is for any air bubbles. If there's any air bubbles, we want to use the Q-tip to kind of get them out of there and push them out. Okay, so I'm going to just lightly push here. I see a few here. You might have to turn it in your light to see them. Looks good. Great. So to me, that looks perfect. All right, so grab your cloth again and take out some of the fingerprints. Some of these graphics and numerals might pop up. Don't worry about that. It might look broken, but we are going to hard reset our display with our paper clip, so that's not an issue. Okay, lightly clean that off. We're going to give it another clean later. Now we're going to go into reassembly. All right, so we'll take our plastic housing here, okay, and we want to make sure that we don't have these thin foam tips in there yet. So these should be off to the side, okay, because the display has to go in first. Okay, you'll go to your plastic housing, okay, and I want you to look for the big clip here. See how this part of the clip is much fatter than these two small parts? This thick, fat single part is the 6 o'clock. So I know that that will be that part of the display. So slide that in, and then you will go ahead and take the 2 clips here at the top and slide those underneath the glass. You'll just gently pull on the plastic to the left, like this, and then push with your right finger or your left if you're opposite-handed, and push down on the display to get it locked into place. There we go. So if you look here, see we have a clip here, and a big clip here. These 3 clips should be on top of both these displays. So you're kind of sliding one end in on the glass and then the other. Okay, once those are securely in place, take your cloth, put it down. Okay, again, this is the big clip side on the right, and this is the small clip side on the left. You'll take the big clip, or the big piece of white strip here, and put this on the 12 o'clock position like that. Okay, it should sit flush in its trough there, and then repeat the same thing for the other side there. Okay, that looks pretty good. Take your cloth, gently wipe the back of your display. Doesn't really have to look smudge-free, but just get any additional moisture that might be there. This looks really dry though, so that looks great. Okay. All right, so again, this is the big side at the 12 o'clock, small side at the 6. We're going to take our opaque display here, okay? And you'll notice with the opaque display that you have these thicker clips here, and these smaller clips here and here. The big clips go to the 6 o'clock, so I need to rotate it like that. And you'll notice that the clips are kind of projected in this direction. The projections should face towards you. Okay, so we'll put that down like that. All right, go ahead and take this piece. This is relatively easy. The black pieces here should be facing towards you, and you can just drop this in place like that. It doesn't matter if you drop it here or if I was to turn it 180 degrees. It's going to go in and function in either orientation, just like that. All right, we're going to turn it this way now. Again, long strip here at 12, small strip here at 6. We're going to take our board here. Now, this black piece is going to go in the middle of these. So we'll do it like that. And then the question is, do I orientate it this way or this way or this way? So you're going to, with this being the 12 o'clock with the long strip at the top, you're going to take this part of the board that has no silver connectors, whatever you call these, and you're going to put that here. So the silverish contact points here should be at the 6 o'clock position. And you'll see that right here at the top, there will be a little white tooth that will pop out in the board that helps you to know, and another one here that helps you to know you're in the right orientation. Okay, great. Then we're going to take this part here. You see these 2 contacts here and these 2 silvery parts here. That's how you know they meet together. But we need to reinstall our spring. And we need to put our spring right here where we made our Sharpie mark. Now with the spring, you notice it has a fat end here on the left and a skinny end on the right. You're going to hold it by the fat end and insert the skinny end into that hole that you outlined where the Sharpie marks are. There we go, just like that, okay? Leave the white part alone. Take this part, keep the same orientation you had before, invert it down, and you're going to gently push down, and you're going to squeeze on the clips. So you see these two clips here at the 12 o'clock, or at the 12 o'clock. Wait for the clicks. Okay, take a look at the clips themselves. Okay, let's focus. Make sure the clips are flat, that they're not poking out. See, like that. That, and one more. 2, 4, 5, and 6. So a total of 6. Right, now you'll notice that the battery has now been connected to the internal watch module. We'll have all these funky graphics going on, so we need to clear this. Okay, go ahead and turn this over. Okay, you're going to look for this hole here where the word AC is beside. You're going to take your paper clip and bend it like this, where you have a longer end on one side and a shorter end on the other. Insert the longer end into the AC and push it down gently, but all the way. The other shorter end touch to the metal and hold it there for like a second. Take it out, turn your display over, and now everything is nice and clean. It should reset to 1/1, 12 o'clock, and have nothing on the other two subdials to the left and right until the timer reaches its appropriate part. So that looks pretty good. Okay, so we will put that down. Now we're going to be putting a filter here on the top, but we're going to be doing it to the masking. So I'm going to just wipe down this display again, just gently. Okay. Any other air bubbles, go ahead and take those out. Looks good. And I'll take my masking, just a preliminary fit, and see how this looks. I have to reset again because anytime you push down on the display, it will kind of mess with the graphics a little bit. One more time here. There we go. Put my masking down. All right. And that looks pretty good. Now you'll notice sometimes that, let's see. You notice, for example, the bottom of this O, of this 0 here is not as bright as the rest of it. That will just settle over time. That's just the, I don't know the technical term, but once you reset the screen, it takes sometimes a while for the numerals to come back as completely solid. And if I turn it in the light, you can see that sometimes we have this residue here. Over time, that will go away, like over a few hours, maybe a day or two at the most. But if you just have a few of those left and you've already hard reset the back, just wait for a few days and it will go away on its own. Let me reset this again. Put this here, and I'll set this to the side and work on the filter, and I think those will be better by the time we get back. All right, so we will put this guy to the side, and let's work on our filter now. So again, we're on this filter. And as it shows in the mod, we're putting a yellow filter over that. So let's grab our yellow filter. All right, again, look for the code number at the bottom of this video to see what type of yellow I ordered. But I can already tell you this is Lee filter 104. So you can see here at the bottom. 104, which is also called light amber. Really helps the top to pop a little bit. Okay, so get that all set. Perfect. Take your masking here, okay, and turn it upside down. Put it underneath the filter and just put it over the part that you want to colorize. So we are putting this over the triple dials here at the top. Take my Sharpie, and once that's in line, go ahead and outline where you're going to cut. All right, avoid touching the Sharpie mark so you don't smudge it. Go ahead and cut that out. Great. Okay, go ahead and cut out the remainder of the filter. That has the Sharpie marks. All right, so that looks pretty good to me. You don't want to have any Sharpie marks at all on that filter. All right, take your cloth here, set that filter on top. Okay, that looks good. We're going to go ahead and give it a quick wipe here. So again, make sure this is clean. Good. Take your tweezers, flip it over. Wipe the other side as well. So just help get the fingerprints off. Okay, leave it on the cloth. Take your masking, take your super glue, get a brand new Q-tip like that. Okay, what I like to do is, even if this is pointed already, I like to make it a little bit more pointed. So I'll take my fingers, kind of pinch the tip like that. Okay. Take your super glue, and we're going to apply a thin layer to the top here, and a dot here, and a dot here. Okay. Apply it all the way to the edge. Try to keep it as far away from the circular cutouts as possible. Then our two dots. Okay, that looks pretty good. If there's any glue that's near any of the cutouts, go ahead and just remove the excess with the clean end of the Q-tip. We're going to take our filter here, take our toothpick here, push the filter all the way to the top. Just lightly dab. And you'll notice that the glue will start to spread as you push. And that's why we like to apply our glue as far away from the cutout, so there's room for the glue to spread without the glue becoming visible in these circular areas. And then push here gently on the corners. If you have any glue that goes and spreads into the display, you need to start over, cut a brand new filter, because once you reassemble everything, that glue will be visible on your main display. Right, and let that sit for a few minutes while it dries. One thing I do want to let you know is re-gluing. So sometimes people will apply glue and they'll go back, and before they reassemble, they'll say, oh, you know what, maybe I should put just another dot, another piece of glue here and another glue here. If you allow super glue to dry with these filters the first time around, you let it sit, and then you go and apply another coating of super glue. If you have new super glue touching old super glue on filters, I've noticed that it starts to create a cloudy effect at the point of contact between the two glue marks, and then that cloudiness spreads all over the watch. I don't really know exactly what happens. It must be some kind of chemical reaction, but you don't want to re-glue again. You want to get it done right the first time. So, like for example, right here I have glue here, and glue here. If I was to take another small dot of glue and put it right on this corner, and then that new glue touched the old glue, I would start getting that clouding effect, and over the course of minutes to even hours, your watch will go from looking completely normal to being very, very cloudy. I found that out because I made a mod, luckily for myself and not a customer. I re-glued it, put the watch in my case, came back a day later to wear it, and I was like, whoa, what is all this cloudiness? And after trial and error, I found out that was the cause. So you want to get the glue right the first time. What do you do if you didn't glue it correctly and you need to re-glue? What's going to happen? Even if you remove the filter, you're still going to have glue residue on the masking. So you need to go back to basics. Remove the filter, take some acetone, get a clean Q-tip, apply the acetone over the entire area that you glued, and get as much of that old glue off as possible. So kind of a pain, so just make sure you get it done right the first time. Another option is don't even use super glue. Some people buy these filters with adhesive backings, kind of like we had the polarized filter with, so you can look for those as well. So just a tip there. So I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes before I reassemble everything, and I'll chime back in with you guys. All right, so now that we've let the glue dry for a little bit, all right, we can go into reassembly. So we will grab our silver case. Okay, look for the words Illuminator here at the bottom and world time. World time is always 12 o'clock, so I put that to my left. Put that down. Okay, we'll take our masking with our filter, get your air blaster, gently remove any possible dust in one direction. When it comes to spraying the front, obviously you need to be careful that you don't spray too hard that the filter comes off. So what I sometimes do is I put the back over a Q-tip like this one here that's in the corner, support it from behind, and just blast as hard as I want on that particular part of the filter. All right, and that looks pretty good to me. We can set that filter to the side. Okay, we're going to take our watch module, do the same thing. Look for any fingerprints. Okay, wipe the top. Okay, once you feel that you've got all those off, go ahead and do a hard reset again on the back, because we put a little bit of pressure on the screen. Okay. Blast away any possible dust, set that to the side. Okay, we've got our case back here, again 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Lift up the case, put that down, give it a quick blast of air. Take your masking. Okay, make sure the side that has the 3 dials faces to the left, 12 o'clock position. Set that guy down inside, lightly tap that in place. Okay, take your watch module. Okay, obviously put the triple dial area to the left. Set that down. Okay, kind of like that. Okay, with that part pressed down, you want to put a little bit of pressure here on the middle, and you're going to go to these 4 clips here on the corners. Okay, you see how there's a bar that runs across here and here? So you're going to put some pressure here, pull back on 4 clips, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll notice that the watch module will sometimes tend to seat itself a little bit better when you do that, and that just helps to make these contacts come in line with the pushers on the side. If you didn't do that, even if you went to reassemble the case back, your pushers probably would not work correctly. All right, take the case back. The word Casio should be in this orientation. 12 o'clock here, 6 o'clock here. Reinsert, oh, actually before that, sorry. Take your O-ring, okay. Now these are brand new from the factory, so these are already oiled. I can see that it's oiled from the factory, so I won't re-oil it again. But what you can do is take Hops number 9 oil and put a little bit in your finger and run the entire perimeter of this O-ring. Make sure you wipe off the excess. You don't want to make it too oily, obviously, which is why I don't want to reapply oil again. And then you will look for this tab on the top. You see how there's a very small tooth here on the O-ring and nothing here? That's your 12 o'clock right there. Okay, so take your O-ring, set that down as so. Again, this is the 12 o'clock position. Make sure it sits in the trough nicely. Take your case back. Make sure you have the right case back. So the silver case should go with AE 1200 if you want it to match. Okay, gently push down. Okay, turn your watch over, and what we can do is run through the functions. Okay, so I'm going to support that case back from behind. I'm going to lift up on the protective housing, set this aside just temporarily. Okay, and okay, let's run through our functions here. So let's go to our clock. Good, it's there. My numerals look nice and crisp. I don't see any fingerprints. I don't see any air bubbles. Don't see any dust or strands from the Q-tip. So that looks good. I'm going to push the bottom left to make sure it cycles through. And I do want to hear that beep. If you forgot to put in that spring, you won't have any beep or chime. Okay, let's go to our stopwatch. Bottom right pusher. Stop. Hold the top left. It does clear. That looks good. How about our backlight? Turn off the lights. Okay. And actually, let's get all the lights shut off here. Okay, and this is a camera phone, so I know it's going to look grainy. I apologize for that. But you'll get the idea with the backlight. So there we go. Numerals show up really nice, crisp, and orange. And then you have that orange background with the yellow filter on the top. Okay, so things are looking good. All right, I'm going to try it one more time here. So it looks pretty good. Okay, then we're going to take a look at our work. So we want to obviously make sure no dust, no air bubbles. We also want to check the borders here on the main time display, all 4 corners, the entire perimeter borders of the subdials. Make sure that you don't have any exposed glass where you failed to cover it with either polarized film or yellow filter at the top. So everything looks good there. All right, so once that is done, I'll reapply this protective piece, put that back down. Okay, recheck our O-ring, make sure it looks good. Put the case back down. Take our 4 screws.